and how it should be done in the context of human interaction, specifically for relationship building. A lot of videos online about terrible relationships, how men and women are not able to get along, how marriage is dead, how dating sucks, blah 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 blah. One of the things I want to say is that none of that stuff is true. The vast majority of relationships in this world are actually functional. The vast majority of people that are in stable relationships are in stable relationships because they keep other people out of their relationship. The most detrimental thing to a relationship is listening to outside influences. That's why people wind up dating and getting married and completely alienating everybody around them and completely isolating themselves with their partner. And the world looks at that like it's weird or strange or unusual. But the truth is that intolerant people are going to just be intolerant. You can be tolerant or you can be intolerant. And an intolerant person is going to always be intolerant. And if your goal is to start a relationship and you and your partner want to be in a relationship and you're surrounded by intolerant people, the best option is just to isolate yourself from those people. It doesn't mean that there's not a cult forming or anything else. It's like if you're wanting to be with a functional person and you're surrounded by dysfunctional people that don't want to become functional, your best option is to simply interact with and engage with that functional person and let the dysfunctional people just continue to be dysfunctional outside of your functional system. One thing I want to add while we're having this discussion right now is the idea of chaos and order. Chaos is I think of chaos as random numbers, and I think of order as patterns that can be understood. But one of the things that we don't appreciate enough when it comes to the idea of chaos and order is to chaos as chaos is to order. And that means that in a chaotic environment, which I find myself in all the time, an ordered person, which I define myself as, is more chaotic than the chaos. If you're working with a bunch of dysfunctional people and they're operating throughout dysfunction and you want to bring order to make things better and more efficient and more effective, you are the chaos, because they already understand exactly how the disorder is going to happen. They either understand the disorder because they want the disorder, or they don't understand the disorder, and it's because they don't understand the disorder that the disorder continues to perpetuate, right? And when you are surrounded by people that are ordered and you are chaotic, the people that are ordered want to maintain that order, and then your presence being there chaotic, causing chaos, they don't want you to cause chaos. They want you to become ordered. So your nature as a person that is already chaotic is like, I don't understand why they expect all this stuff from me. Like, just let me do what I do, because it's always worked and it's always been effective. And this is the reason why I don't personally subscribe to the idea of narcissism. I think the narcissism is just I think it might be an actual mental illness. Like when you see actually mentally ill people, I think that narcissism might actually be a mental illness. But the behavior that we see in average everyday people are a consequence of what I just described about chaos and order. Some environments are just not ordered. And if you try to function in a disordered environment, you're going to have to be functionally disordered to be able to perpetuate in that type of environment. So there's that. I don't want to get too far off this tangent. So communication. The nature of communication is typically a way to exchange your understanding with someone else. And the goal is to exchange understanding in a way that other people can comprehend and reconcile what you're saying. Like you're not just spewing words for the sake of spewing words. You're trying to communicate some value that another person is supposed to receive for some function and some reasoning, right? And the biggest weakness of communication in the present is the nature of a lie. A lie is an act of deception. When males and females are interacting with each other and communicating with each other, females have a desire and a goal that they want to obtain. Since women don't have a monopoly on aggression, they tend to learn to communicate indirectly to try to get what they want. They know that if they ask directly of somebody what they want, that person, because I'm driving to work, it's dark because I'm driving to work, and they know if they ask somebody directly what is it that they want, they know that the person that's going to receive the information is going to know what they want, and then it makes them vulnerable to not obtaining what they want. So young girls that become women learn to be indirect about life, right? When you're dealing with a person that is supposed to be your intimate partner, that you're supposed to be working together with, and actually engaging in a long-term goal and short-term goals of being successful and being in a cooperation with each other, you should be comfortable enough with them to communicate concisely what it is that you want, right? Most of the conflict that occur between this modern female and this modern male is a byproduct of young women never not being childish. Like, they learn how to be kids, they learn how to be effective as kids, and then they want to continue to be children. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with a girl or a woman wanting to be a childish person. Children don't run households. Parents and adults run households. Mothers and fathers are not coming home to their children and having their children tell them how to live their lives. That's not how life works. Your mother tells you when you're supposed to go to bed. Your mother tells you when it's time for you to do your homework. Your mother tells you when it's time for you to go to school. Your father tells you when it's time to do chores. Your father tells you when it's time to stop playing and get serious about life, or to come over here and listen to this lecture about some things that you need to learn about. Like, that's how life is supposed to work. Modern women feel like they should be in a position of authority without having to be accountable and responsible, because they believe that the relational dynamic between a man and a woman in the household is the same as being in charge, and it's not how it works. Being in charge is not, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do and you're going to do it because I told you. That's a very childish way of understanding the way life works. Being in a position of authority is, I need to make sure my children eat, so I need to go to work for 2 weeks to earn enough money to get a check so that I can afford the food, and then after I buy the food, I'm going to have to make sure I prepare meals for them. And now that I have kids, I can't go to the store with my check and buy all the stuff that I like. I have to be a responsible adult and buy the things that my children want. And being upset and being sad and being depressed and having all this indirect energy because you have to do the things that an adult is supposed to do is a consequence of not listening when you were a child. When your parents were trying to get you to understand that these things were going to be important one day, you didn't want to understand that shit. So now you're upset that you have to just be a functional adult. Within this chaotic society that we exist in, there is a systemic system put in place to take advantage of an adult's unwillingness to be functional. Society functions off of our dysfunction. They make profit whenever we don't show up and do what we're supposed to do the way we're supposed to do it, right? So in that energy, men tend to be like, chill the fuck out. Don't behave in this way. Don't move in that direction, because it's gonna cost us resources and time we can't afford. And then women look at them like, well, you're being demanding. It's like, well, every time I have to go out and engage in this world to provide resources for us so that we can have the life that we want to live inside of this bullshit ass world, you want to push against it because you feel like I don't understand the way this world works. I understand how this world works, and I'm moving the way I want to move in this world to be the person that I want to be and have the relationship that I want to have with you. And this is the reason why it comes down to effective communication, because everyone has this idea like men aren't good at communicating. It's not that we're not good at communicating. Why should I talk to you if you're going to do what you want anyway? What is the point in me spending 10 to 15 minutes talking to a woman and respecting her agency and respecting her autonomy and respecting the fact that she's an adult over the age of 18 if she's just going to do what she wants anyway? If she's not going to receive the information that I'm providing to her so that we can align ourselves in a way that we can move in a way that will allow us both to be able to be prosperous in the way that we need to be prosperous together, and on a smaller scale as individuals working in unity together, if she's just gonna ignore me and do what the fuck she wants to do anyway, why even waste my time? What's the point in even sitting down and taking the time out to even try to communicate? This is the reason why men stop talking. What men do with women is we want to validate ourselves to them by being successful objectively. And unfortunately, because of Christianity, objective truths are not received as objective truth. Objective truths are received as, well, you were successful this one time, but the next time you might not be successful. You did it right this one time, but the next time you might not be successful. And what tends to happen in relationships more with women than with men is women are always willing to bet against the men in their relationship that they're in a relationship with. They want to bet against the men that they're in a relationship with so that they can maintain their position of, I should be in charge and I should be in control and I should be telling you what to do. And that's a European slavery mentality. The idea that I should get up as a man and go work all day and bust my ass all day and come home with resources just for you to tell me as a woman that it's not enough and that I need to do better. That's a slave's mentality. That's this unnecessary energy at work where your boss has all of his coworkers in competition with each other to force y'all to move faster against each other so that they can make more money when it's not necessary. That's chaos. It will be way more efficient if y'all were on the same page and working together as a team, achieving objectives instead of in opposition with each other, trying to be better than each other. I'm gonna make more pieces than you're gonna make, and I'm gonna make 10 pieces and you're only gonna make 2. Well, if you think I'm gonna make 2, I'm gonna make 8, and you're only gonna make 7. Like, that's wasted energy. It's wasted energy. It's unproductive. It's very counterproductive, and it has nothing to do with communication. What should happen, what works, is I try my hardest to communicate something to you. You reiterate what I said without changing any of the words or the meaning to show me that you understood what was conveyed, and then you make an effort to stick to the plan. That's the reason why I run every 3 days. I run every 3 days because I'm sticking to the plan. If I can run every 3 days, if I can make a schedule to run every 3 days, then my ability to keep a schedule is being proven empirically. If I can do that every 3 days, it's proving my capacity by which I'm able to keep a schedule. Just like when I constantly had to be checked by Nessa, like, you don't know how to be on time. It's like, that's a stereotype. Just because I'm African American doesn't mean that I'm late. I'm supposed to be at work at 5:30. It's 4:20. Like, I'm not a person that runs late. If anything, I should be getting here earlier than I am, but I have to figure my life out. So I have to adjust my times and adjust my schedule to do certain things that are necessary, even though they are part of a chaotic, dysfunctional system, right? So that's how it should be. Like, I don't know what else to say or how else to convey what I'm trying to convey, but yeah, just, it's not about listening, it's about understanding. If I communicate to you, you should be able to receive that information, understand what has been said, and then know that the goal for us as two people that are working together in a cooperation, which is where the word corporation comes from, that our goals are in alignment and that we're trying to move to the same success. And when you are a female in a relationship with a guy and he brings you the bullshit of the world, because we are the ones banging our head against the wall that is the world, don't receive it like a child that is getting bad news from their parents. Don't receive it like it's 9 o'clock, it's time for you to go to bed. Understand that this is what's going on. This is the things that I need to do to circumnavigate that so we can move in the direction we need to move in. If you're not willing or able to do that with a person, then maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship. Maybe you should keep focusing on yourself and keep working on you instead of wasting someone's time just trying to build something with you. Because a lot of the biggest conflict that I see with a lot of relationships that are not working, because most of them are working, is that people come into relationships with the wrong understanding and an unwillingness to adjust who they are the way that they need to adjust who they are to be the thing that they want to be in a relationship. It's very easy to change who you are for somebody else based on their demands and what they're expecting of you. But if you're changing who you are in a way that is moving away from the person you want to be, that's when you have to actually set up boundaries. That's when you have to be like, I'm not gonna do that for these reasons. Not scream and yell and argue and fight, but like, I'm not doing that. This is the reason why I don't want to do that thing. And when men say that to women, they don't listen. They just want to wait till we're done talking so they can explain to us why we're gonna fix the thing about us that they don't like. And when men typically say, hey, I don't want to do this thing for this reason, and a woman sees this, and then when he's done talking, she's like, okay, now make sure you change. When he changes and it creates a new chaos, it creates a new problem, she doesn't reflect on the fact that the conversation I had with him was these things, and from what he said, this is the result of him doing what I asked him to do. So I need to be accountable and responsible for my leadership and asking him to do something that he communicated was not going to be effective. What happens is that women see men failing and think that men are failures, right? That's what's happening. You see a person doing something, you don't like what they're doing because you think that it's dumb, because you don't understand it, not because it is dumb, but because you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, then it must be stupid. You tell them to change. They explain to you why they don't want to change. You tell them to change anyway. They make an effort to change, to validate yourself, to validate themselves to you, because that's what men do. And in changing to validate themselves for you, you don't acknowledge that what they changed into for you is causing more problem than what was being an issue before they transformed into the person you said they should be. And in changing in that way for them, and them changing in that way for you, if you were actually a leader, if you were actually a provider, you would acknowledge that your guidance, your position of authority, your management style is a failure of an attempt. And then you would take accountability and responsibility for that, but you don't. These types of women only just double down on the fact that I knew you were a failure. I knew you were a loser. I knew you wasn't good enough. That's it. And the last thing I would say before I leave to go to work is there is no reason why relationships have to end in explosions and bombshed and massacrations and bridge burning. There's no reason. If you could just communicate, you could just sit down and be like, hey, I like you. These are the things that are going on. This is how I feel. I want to go be with somebody else. And then they're like, sure, that's not a problem. The reason why women don't do that is because they're petty and selfish. And they don't want to leave a man that is halfway decent to go get into a new relationship, to find themselves in a worse situation, only to see that guy is doing better. So they try to character assassinate and destroy our ability to be a good person so that another female won't come along and continue to build with them, because that's just the level of just greed, right? Like, you don't like me for the things that I'm doing, but you also don't want no one else to have access to me because you're a childish, petty person. So you could just leave and then go try to find another person exactly like the person that you think that I should be, but you know that that's not really possible. And instead of changing your perception of the world, you want to keep trying to force the world to bend to your will. That's the reason why I say words don't have power. Words only carry an influence. And I need to go to work. So as always, my name is Paul Emerson. I'll give you my 2 cents.